I couldn't find visual aids that presented lessons the way I wanted to teach, so I decided to make my own film strips and asked Win to help me. He got me an Olympus Pen F, which is a half-frame camera. I wrote my own scripts, made cutouts, and used my daughter Lynn as a model. These 2 slides are samples of my work. My students rewarded me by learning faster and more easily than ever before. I then took a course in 8mm film from the UCSC Extension program and made more film strips for my classes on different sewing techniques. All this type of photography, however, did not offer experience in developing and printing. When Win became ill with cancer, I decided to retire in 1974 to be at home with him. He hired fellow photographer and good friend Jim Hill to help him print, so he could leave me with a body of photographs to sell after his death. Lynn and I were shown how to tone and mount prints, and at the time it felt like I was learning the nitty-gritty of photography. It was just that I was starting at the tail end of it all. Win was one of 5 artists whose archives established the Center for Creative Photography in Tucson. The others were Ansel Adams, Harry Callahan, Aaron Siskin, and Frederick Summer. Before sending his archives down to the new center, Win asked me if I wanted to keep one of his cameras for myself. I chose his Nikon since it was the camera he taught me to use in helping him make the 2 slide tape lectures that allowed him to continue accepting lecture engagements despite the debilitating effects of his illness. I did nothing with the Nikon until after Win's death. At that point, however, I realized that I had to find something to do to keep me busy and happy. And since I had a darkroom, a 250 sheet box of Kodak polycontrast paper, a mounting press with lots of mount board, and knowledge of how to tone and mount a print, I thought, why not learn how to photograph correctly and how to process what I photographed? So after a trip in 1976 to Arkansas, where I took pictures of landscapes and relatives, especially my daughter Barbara's mother-in-law, I enrolled in a beginning photography class at my local community college. Henry Gilpin was my first teacher, and he was amazed to see me walk into his class. I assured him I didn't know anything about the processing of film or paper. He finally accepted the idea of me as a student, and he proved to be a marvelous teacher. The following semester I took photography 2 and 3. I then enrolled in workshops under Al Weber, Dave Bone, Ansel Adams, Jerry Yulesman, Eko Hosoi, Morley Bear, Judy Dater, and others. My first real creative project was to photograph wood knots and knot holes using my inherited Nikon. I wanted to photograph something Win had not done, a subject that would be mine. And the textures and movements of knots and holes appealed to me. As a result, I believe I have more pictures of this subject than anyone else in the world. Don't worry though, these are all you will see today. I also started taking male nudes. I like to use a roll film camera for nudes, as I can be more spontaneous and responsive in relation to the model. At first I used the RB 6x7, but after 3 accidents with the camera falling, I now have a Hasselblad 500 CM. This period of my photography really began when I was asked to co-teach a workshop on the nude. Our sponsor arranged to get us 2 models, one of each gender. My co-instructor, a male, confessed he was uneasy working with a male model, and I discovered I was not. From that time on, I've been intrigued with visually exploring the male nude in a variety of settings, particularly in natural outdoor environments. Our society's reluctance to portray the male nude in any form except as a muscle man or playboy bothers me, and I want to help rectify that. I like being able to show a man at ease with his body in an outdoor setting. responding to his environment as his individual feelings and energies prompt him to. I direct my models minimally, always taking my lead from the relationships they create with the environment they are in, including myself and any others present, and the atmosphere of the day. With all my photographs, my aim is to reach viewers on an emotional level so that the experience that began between me and my subject can continue to live and evolve within others. Most recently, I've been photographing fences. I find myself intrigued by boundaries and junctures, openings, and closings. To conclude, since starting my photographic career in 1976, I have been fortunate enough to have had my work displayed in over 100 group and one-person exhibitions in both this country and abroad. And in several of these shows, I've had the pleasure of exhibiting with one of the finest photographers I know, my husband, Win Bullock. Win's statement, "Photography is a way of life," is also true for me and has become a driving force in my life. Now in my 80s, I continue to be a happy person, and going out to photograph has a great deal to do with that.